Humanity stands on the verge of unlocking the solar system. Deep space travel is about to transform from a dream of a few into a reality for many, and it all hinges on 25 specific technologies. By the end of this exploration, you will understand exactly how a trip to another star could become as routine as a flight across the ocean. We will uncover how a spacecraft might repair itself for centuries and what kind of engine could bend the fabric of space. These are not just tools for exploration, but the very foundation for a new chapter in human history. What does a future among the stars truly look like for you? The cornerstone of any starship is its engine, the very heart that pushes against the void. We must move far beyond the brief, fiery roar of chemical rockets that served us so well for reaching orbit. The future of interstellar travel hinges on propulsion systems that are both incredibly efficient and unimaginably powerful. Consider the ion thruster, a technology we already use on probes like Dawn. It works by electrically charging atoms, often of a gas like xenon, and then using magnetic fields to shoot them out the back of the spacecraft at tremendous speeds. This push is exceptionally gentle, far weaker than a single falling leaf, but it can be maintained for years, even decades, allowing a spacecraft to build up velocities chemical rockets could never achieve. For more demanding journeys, nuclear systems come into play. A nuclear thermal rocket uses a fission reactor to heat a propellant like liquid hydrogen into a superheated plasma, blasting it out a nozzle for thrust many times greater than conventional engines. An even more advanced concept, nuclear electric propulsion, would use a powerful reactor to generate immense electricity, supercharging ion thrusters to new levels of performance. These technologies could cut travel times within our solar system from years to months, making Mars a neighbor and the outer planets a realistic destination. But for true starflight, we must look to physics that sounds like magic. The Alcubierre warp drive is one such theoretical concept. It proposes a way to cheat the universal speed limit of light, not by moving the ship itself, but by manipulating the fabric of spacetime. Imagine creating a wave where spacetime contracts in front of your vessel and expands behind it. You would then surf this wave, enclosed within a stable bubble, while the space around you moves faster than light. You are not breaking any rules because within your bubble you are perfectly stationary. This is the ultimate goal, the engine that could reduce a journey of millennia to one of mere years. Without these foundational propulsion breakthroughs, every other system we will discuss would be stranded in the vast, empty sea between stars. But an engine, no matter how powerful, is useless without a crew to guide it. The next great challenge is keeping that crew alive, not for a few months but for generations. This demands a ship that is far more than a machine. It must become a world. Picture a vessel where every drop of water is endlessly purified and reused, where the very air you exhale is scrubbed and revitalized, and where your food grows in onboard gardens under artificial suns. This is the reality of a closed-loop life support system, a self-sustaining ecosystem flying through the void. On the International Space Station, we already see the beginnings of this with systems that recycle astronaut sweat and breath moisture back into drinking water. The next step is bioregeneration, integrating specially engineered plants and algae. These biological machines do more than just produce food. They consume our carbon dioxide, generate fresh oxygen, and help process our organic waste, closing the circle completely. Such a system transforms the spacecraft from a sterile capsule into a living, breathing entity. It eliminates the need for impossible resupply missions from Earth, granting a crew true independence. A ship like this can sustain its human inhabitants for decades or even centuries, making the journey itself a viable way of life. Of course, powering this miniature Earth hurtling through space requires an energy source of immense reliability and scale, a demand that pushes our next technology to its absolute limits. The lifeblood of this self-sustaining world, from its air recyclers to its mighty engines, must be power. The energy required is so colossal that only one source fits the bill, the same process that lights the stars. Compact fusion reactors aim to bottle a tiny piece of a star's core, creating a power source of almost mythical abundance. Imagine replicating, in a confined magnetic chamber, the process where hydrogen atoms are forced together under immense heat and pressure to form helium. This fusion releases a staggering amount of energy from a tiny amount of fuel. The fuel itself is a key advantage, derived from forms of hydrogen like deuterium, which can be extracted from ordinary seawater. This makes it one of the most plentiful potential energy sources in the solar system. Unlike today's nuclear fission reactors, which split heavy atoms and create long-lived radioactive waste, fusion produces minimal lasting waste, making it a far cleaner and safer option for a sealed environment like a starship. Major projects, from Lockheed Martin's ambitious compact fusion reactor design to the intricate international tokamak experiments, are all racing toward the same goal: a small, stable reactor that can run for decades without refueling. The energy density is almost beyond comprehension. A single grape-sized amount of fusion fuel could theoretically yield the same energy as thousands of gallons of rocket fuel. This incredible power is not just for show, it is the absolute prerequisite for everything we have discussed so far. It is the electricity for those powerful ion drives, the heat for nuclear thermal rockets, and the immense energy needed to even theorize about warping spacetime. It powers the lights for the onboard farms and the computers that guide the ship. Without fusion power, the dream of a generational ship flickers and dies. But with it, the vessel becomes truly self-sufficient, carrying its own sun within its heart. And with that power secured, the ship can now turn its attention outward, to the greatest danger of the void: radiation. Even with the protection of a miniature sun, a ship's crew faces an invisible enemy that permeates the very void: the relentless assault of cosmic radiation. Shielding this self-contained world is a monumental challenge. We cannot simply wrap the ship in lead; the weight would be astronomical. Instead, we must get clever, using the ship's own structure and supplies as a barrier. Imagine water tanks and food stores strategically placed around the living quarters, their dense molecular structures absorbing harmful particles before they reach the crew. Some concepts even propose creating a magnetic field around the entire vessel, a replica of Earth's own protective magnetosphere, to deflect radiation just as our planet does. This is not merely about preventing acute sickness. It is about safeguarding the genetic integrity of a population that may live its entire life in space. Without this protection, a multi-generational journey could end with a crew too damaged to survive. But let's assume we solve this, that we build a shielded, self-sufficient ark powered by starlight. There is still one more fundamental problem. The human body itself is not built for an endless free fall. Prolonged exposure to microgravity has devastating effects, from muscles withering away to bones becoming brittle and weak. The heart, no longer fighting gravity to pump blood, grows lazy and deconditions. An astronaut arriving at Mars after months in zero-G would be too frail to stand on its surface, let alone explore it. To make long-duration travel truly routine, the spacecraft must provide the one thing the void cannot, a sense of weight. It must generate its own gravity. This can be achieved not with complex physics, but with simple mechanics through rotating structures. Picture a large centrifuge, a section of the ship that spins steadily. The centrifugal force pushes everything outward, mimicking the feeling of gravity against the outer hull. A crew member standing in this rotating torus would feel their feet firmly on the floor, could pour a drink, and would experience the normal stresses on their skeleton that keep bones strong. Designs vary from small, personal centrifuges just for sleeping quarters to entire rotating rings that form the main habitat of the ship. This implementation is absolutely crucial. It ensures a crew arrives at a distant world not as weakened patients, but as capable explorers, ready to step onto an alien landscape the moment they land. And for them to land in the right place, this spinning world needs to know exactly where it is and where it is going, demanding a navigation system far beyond anything we use today. A spinning ship with its own gravity and a star for an engine is a marvel, but it is also profoundly alone. Out in the deep black, a simple call home could take years to receive a reply. Waiting for instructions from mission control is not an option. The vessel must think for itself. This demands an artificial intelligence pilot, a mind born of silicon and code that can guide the ship with a wisdom and speed no human crew could ever match. This is not a simple autopilot for a pre-programmed route. This is a true partner in exploration, a system capable of independent thought and action. Picture the ship encountering a vast, unexpected cloud of cosmic dust and ice. A human might take minutes to assess the threat and plot a new course. The ship's AI, processing terabytes of sensor data in a heartbeat, would have already calculated a dozen safe trajectories and begun the maneuver before the crew even registered a warning light. Its eyes would be the pulsars, the spinning corpses of dead stars that flash with the metronomic regularity of cosmic lighthouses. By tracking these precise beacons across the galaxy, the AI can triangulate the ship's position with pinpoint accuracy, creating a navigation system that never needs a signal from Earth. It would manage the colossal fusion reactor, balance the life support systems, and run continuous diagnostics on every component, predicting failures long before they happen. It could even direct robotic probes to investigate a passing asteroid or a mysterious planetary signal, conducting science autonomously while the human crew sleeps. This level of self-reliance is not a luxury, it is an absolute necessity for survival. The ship must be its own mission control, capable of handling any crisis the void can throw at it, from a sudden solar flare to a hull breach. This autonomous intelligence is the final piece that transforms a well-equipped vessel into a true explorer, brave enough to venture into the truly unknown. And that unknown is filled with dangers far stranger than dust clouds. That autonomous intelligence now faces its first true test, an invisible storm of atomic shrapnel hurtling through space at nearly the speed of light. Beyond the comforting bubble of Earth's magnetic field, cosmic radiation presents a constant, deadly drizzle. These are not mere particles, they are atomic nuclei stripped of their electrons, accelerated to terrifying energies by distant supernova and quasars. When one of these heavy ions slams through a human cell, it does not just pass through, it shatters the delicate machinery of our DNA like a bullet through a clockwork. The damage is cumulative and insidious, raising the lifetime risk of cancer, damaging the brain and nervous system, and threatening the very genetic future of a crew destined to live their entire lives in this environment. The old solution, passive shielding, is a dead end for a starship. Wrapping the vessel in lead or concrete would require hundreds of thousands of tons of mass, an impossible weight for any engine to push across the interstellar void. Even the water and supplies stored on board can only offer a partial buffer. The only viable answer is to not block the radiation, but to bend it away to create an invisible fortress around the ship. This is the promise of active radiation shielding. Imagine replicating Earth's greatest protective gift on a miniature scale. The most promising concept uses powerful superconducting magnets to generate a magnetic field that envelops the entire vessel. Just as Earth's magnetosphere deflects the solar wind, this manufactured field would push the incoming charged particles harmlessly aside, creating a safe haven within. Another, even more futuristic idea involves a plasma shield. This would surround the ship with a cloud of charged gas, creating an electrostatic barrier that repels the deadly rays. The engineering challenges are immense, requiring magnets that can operate for decades without failing and systems that consume minimal power from the ship's fusion heart. Yet without this technological umbrella, every other system becomes irrelevant. A ship can have perfect gravity, limitless food, and a brilliant AI, but if its crew is being slowly poisoned from within, the mission is already a failure. Solving this is the absolute prerequisite, the shield that makes all other journeys possible. And with that shield in place, the ship's structure itself becomes the next frontier, demanding materials that are not just strong, but almost alive. This shield of magnetic force allows the ship to survive its journey, but to truly thrive, it must learn to build and refuel along the way. The ultimate expression of a ship's independence is its ability to live off the land in the depths of space. This is the promise of in situ resource utilization, a technology that transforms barren worlds into cosmic pit stops. Instead of carrying every single drop of water and every tank of fuel from Earth, the ship becomes a mobile factory, harvesting what it needs from its surroundings. Picture a lander touching down on a dark, cold asteroid rich with water ice. Robotic drills bore into the surface, extracting this frozen treasure. The ice is then hauled back to the ship, where it is melted and purified. Through a process called electrolysis, an electric current is run through the water, splitting it into its basic components, hydrogen and oxygen. These are the fundamental ingredients of the most powerful chemical rocket fuels. Suddenly, a desolate rock becomes a filling station, its frozen lakes transformed into the propellant that will push the ship to its next destination. This same principle applies to the thin atmosphere of Mars, which is mostly carbon dioxide. Advanced systems could pull this carbon dioxide from the air and, combined with a small amount of imported hydrogen, manufacture methane fuel right on the planet's surface. But the vision goes far beyond fuel. The very ground beneath an astronaut's boots, the fine dust of the Moon or Mars known as regolith, becomes a construction material. Enormous 3D printers, functioning like industrial pottery wheels, could mix this local soil with a binding polymer and layer by layer, print out entire habitat structures, radiation shields, or landing pads. A broken pipe fitting or a specialized wrench would no longer be a crisis requiring a spare part from Earth, but a simple file sent to the onboard fabricator, which would then craft the item from processed metal ores or regolith composites. This capability completely rewrites the economics and logistics of space exploration. It shifts the paradigm from a desperate, one-way trip with finite supplies to a sustainable, expanding presence. A ship that can refuel and repair itself using the resources of space is no longer just a visitor. It becomes a permanent resident of the cosmos, capable of building a future among the stars, one asteroid and one planet at a time. And to build that future, the materials themselves must evolve beyond our current imagination. The very atoms of the ship itself must become an active participant in survival. Space is a crucible of extremes where a hull can be seared by solar radiation on one side while the other freezes in the absolute cold of shadow. Micrometeoroids, tiny specks of dust traveling faster than a bullet, pose a constant threat of puncturing this fragile bubble of life. Our current metals and alloys are simply not enough for journeys lasting generations. This is where the invisible science of the very small becomes our greatest ally. Nanotechnology allows us to engineer materials atom by atom, giving them properties that seem almost magical. Imagine a hull woven from carbon nanotubes, structures where carbon atoms are arranged in hexagonal patterns, forming tubes that are, pound for pound, hundreds of times stronger than steel yet incredibly lightweight. This is not just an incremental improvement, it is a fundamental leap, allowing for larger, safer vessels without the crippling mass penalty. But strength is only the beginning. What happens when the inevitable occurs and a microscopic crack forms from a particle impact? A self-healing material contains tiny, encapsulated fluids, like microscopic glue reservoirs embedded within its structure. When a breach occurs, these capsules rupture and release their healing agent into the crack, instantly sealing it and restoring the hull's integrity. It is an immune system for the ship, automatically responding to minor injuries before they can become catastrophic failures. For insulation against the brutal temperature swings, we can turn to aerogels, substances that are over 99% air. These ghostly, solid clouds trap air in a nanostructured network, creating a barrier of incredible effectiveness, protecting the ship's delicate interior from the furnace of a star or the deep freeze of interstellar space. And woven throughout this entire structure could be smart materials embedded with a nervous system of microscopic sensors. These sensors would constantly monitor stress, temperature, and radiation exposure, providing a real-time health report on the ship's very bones. The vessel would no longer be a passive object, but a sentient structure aware of its own condition, able to warn its AI pilot of a weakening support beam long before a human eye could ever detect a problem. This fusion of material science and nanotechnology is what transforms a theoretical blueprint into a physical reality, a home that can not only withstand the relentless trials of deep space, but can actively ensure its own longevity, making the dream of a century-long voyage not just possible, but practical. Even the most advanced ship, a self-healing fortress of steel and light, cannot solve the most fundamental limitation of its crew, the slow and relentless passage of time. The psychological weight of a journey spanning generations is a burden few would willingly bear. But what if we could give that time back, not by traveling faster, but by slowing the very lives of the travelers themselves? This is the promise of cryogenic sleep, a state of suspended animation that places the crew into a deep hibernation-like torpor. The goal is not to freeze life, but to put it on profound pause. By carefully lowering the body's core temperature and using specialized drugs to slow the metabolism to a bare minimum, a person's biological processes would almost halt. Their heart would beat only a few times per minute, their brain activity would drop to levels barely detectable, and their need for food, water, and oxygen would become a tiny fraction of normal. In this state, years of travel could feel like a single, dreamless night. The logistical advantages are staggering. A hibernating crew requires far less food, water, and living space, allowing the ship to be smaller, lighter, and more efficient. More importantly, it solves the profound human challenges of deep space. There would be no need for a complex society to form and sustain itself over a century. No risk of generations born into the metallic confines of the ship knowing nothing else. The original crew, the explorers who embarked on the mission, would be the very same ones to arrive at the destination, their memories and bonds intact. We are already laying the groundwork for this today in terrestrial medicine. Therapeutic hypothermia is used in some hospitals to protect patients' brains after cardiac arrest, slowing metabolic demand to give the body a chance to heal. Researchers are experimenting with gases like hydrogen sulfide to safely induce a hibernative state in mammals, a clear stepping stone toward human application. This technology works in perfect harmony with the ship's advanced medical systems, which would constantly monitor the crew's vitals, making minute adjustments to their suspended state and standing ready to orchestrate a gentle, controlled revival when the destination star finally fills the viewport. It transforms an impossible, multi-generational saga into a single, manageable chapter in a human life, making the vast, empty stretches between stars not a barrier to be endured, but a bridge to be slept across. That same shipboard intelligence must extend to the most fragile system of all, the human body. A deep space crew is utterly alone with their biology, and a simple case of appendicitis could be a death sentence millions of miles from the nearest hospital. The solution is a medical bay that is not just a clinic but a complete, autonomous hospital. At its core is a diagnostic AI, a system that continuously monitors every crew member's health through wearable sensors and ambient scanners. It tracks your heart rhythm, your blood chemistry, even subtle changes in your gait or speech patterns. This AI does not wait for you to feel sick. It identifies the faintest signature of illness long before you show a single symptom, predicting a viral outbreak or a developing organ issue with preternatural accuracy. When treatment is needed, the ship's pharmacy can synthesize the required drugs on demand. Instead of carrying a finite supply of every possible medication, it stocks the basic chemical building blocks. The AI analyzes the specific pathogen or imbalance and then directs molecular printers to assemble the perfect, personalized cure right then and there. But the true marvel is the robotic surgical suite. Imagine a serious injury during a maintenance operation, a deep laceration or internal bleeding. The patient is rushed to the med bay, and a swarm of precise robotic arms, guided by real-time 3D imaging, goes to work. These are not simple machines. They are extensions of the ship's immense knowledge, capable of performing complex procedures with a steadiness no human hand could ever match. They can suture a microscopic blood vessel or remove a damaged organ with minimal invasion. And if a situation arises that is beyond its pre-programmed parameters, the system can utilize telemedicine, consulting with the best surgical minds back on Earth. The communication delay might be years, but the AI can store that expert guidance, learning from it, and then executing the procedure with the borrowed skill of a master surgeon. This turns a potential catastrophe into a managed event. The crew's health becomes another seamlessly integrated system, as monitored and maintained as the oxygen supply or the fusion reactor. It is the ultimate safety net, the assurance that the vessel protects not just the lives of its inhabitants, but their quality of life across the decades. With the body's vulnerabilities so expertly managed, the ship's mind can then focus on expanding its own senses, reaching out to touch the worlds it has traveled so far to find. Yet that very medical system, constantly monitoring and transmitting health data, faces a universe-sized communication problem. The vastness of space imposes an absolute tyranny of distance on our conversations. A simple radio signal, our current method of talking to probes, travels at the speed of light, but that speed becomes agonizingly slow across the interstellar void. A message sent to a ship near the closest star, Proxima Centauri, would take over 4 years to arrive and another 4 years for a reply to come back. A simple question and answer session would span a human childhood. This delay, known as latency, makes real-time conversation or emergency guidance from Earth utterly impossible. The signal itself also degrades, spreading out and weakening until it is little more than a whisper lost in the cosmic background noise. This communication blackout is a profound isolation, severing the deep space crew from the living, breathing civilization they left behind. The solution may lie in one of the most bizarre and counterintuitive phenomena in all of physics: quantum entanglement. This is the spooky connection between two particles, like a pair of electrons, that are linked in such a way that whatever happens to one instantly affects the other, no matter how far apart they are. It is as if you had two magical coins, one you keep on Earth and the other you give to a starship. The moment you flip your coin on Earth and see it land heads, you know with absolute certainty that the coin light years away has instantly become tails. This instantaneous link is the theoretical foundation for a quantum communication network. By creating pairs of entangled particles and carefully distributing one of each pair to a spacecraft and the other to a station on Earth, we could establish a channel for information. Manipulating the particle on Earth would cause an instantaneous, predictable change in its entangled twin aboard the ship, allowing for the transmission of data. This would not be sending a radio wave through space. It would be a direct, immediate correlation across any distance. The implications are staggering. A probe discovering a watery world around a distant star could send back its entire sensor scan, every byte of data, the moment it made the discovery. Mission controllers on Earth could see the data in real time, experiencing the discovery alongside the machine. A fleet of such probes could form an instantaneous web, a sensor net cast across light years, all communicating with each other and with home without a single second of delay. This technology is still in its earliest infancy, with labs on Earth successfully demonstrating entanglement over distances of a few hundred miles. Scaling this to an interstellar level is a monumental challenge, but the principle offers a glimmer of a future where no ship is ever truly alone, where the knowledge of all humanity can travel with it, connected by an unbreakable, instantaneous thread. And the sheer volume of data flowing across that thread will require a new kind of intelligence to make sense of it all. That instantaneous quantum link provides a torrent of data, but it takes a new kind of explorer to act upon it. Before any human crew ever sets course for a distant star, the vanguard of our civilization will be silent, patient, and capable of building an entire industrial base from dust and ice. These are von Neumann probes, named for the visionary mathematician who first conceived of self-replicating machines. Imagine launching a single, sophisticated robot toward a promising asteroid belt. Upon arrival, it doesn't just take pictures, it gets to work. Using advanced 3D printing and manipulator arms, it begins harvesting raw materials from the surrounding rock and metal. It extracts nickel and iron for structural components, silicon for computer chips, and traces of rare elements for its complex circuitry. Then, with painstaking precision, it starts assembling a perfect copy of itself from these locally sourced parts. Once the first copy is complete, the two probes begin work on two more, then 4, then 8. This exponential growth transforms a lone scout into a vast, decentralized swarm in a surprisingly short amount of time. This is not a single tool, but a self-perpetuating factory, an industrial seed that blossoms into an entire fleet. The applications are as profound as they are varied. A swarm could envelop an entire asteroid, systematically mining it for valuable minerals and water ice, processing everything into pure, standardized metal ingots and propellant tanks. Another swarm, guided by the ship's AI, could be directed to a planetary surface where they would work in concert like a colony of cosmic ants. Using sintered regolith as their building material, they could 3D print landing pads, radiation-shielded habitats, and even vast arrays of solar panels, constructing a ready-made outpost years before the first human footstep. This approach completely inverts the old model of exploration. Instead of sending a fragile, irreplaceable human crew into the complete unknown, we send these resilient, self-replicating pioneers. They take all the initial risks, mapping gravitational anomalies, analyzing soil chemistry for toxins, and confirming the presence of stable water sources. They build the infrastructure that makes human presence not just possible, but comfortable and sustainable. The mothership, receiving real-time data via its quantum link, would have a perfect, constantly updated picture of the destination system long before it arrives. The crew would wake from cryosleep not to a mysterious and potentially hostile void, but to a fully charted territory with functioning bases, stocked warehouses, and refueling depots already in place, all built by an army of silent mechanical servants that multiplied from a single seed they sent ahead. Yet even the most brilliant computational mind is powerless without a steady, uninterrupted flow of electricity. The ship's fusion heart provides a constant, colossal baseline of power, but a starship's energy needs are anything but constant. There will be moments of immense, instantaneous demand, when the main engines ignite for a course correction or the magnetic shield must flare to deflect a sudden radiation storm. For these peak loads and for the absolute necessity of emergency backup, the vessel needs a different kind of muscle, a system that can store and release staggering amounts of energy in the blink of an eye. This is the domain of advanced energy storage, the ship's powerful and responsive battery. Think of it like the difference between a massive reservoir and a lightning bolt. The fusion reactor is the reservoir, deep and steady. But when you need a lightning strike of power, you turn to supercapacitors, especially those built with a wonder material like graphene. Graphene is a single layer of carbon atoms arranged in a honeycomb lattice, and it is extraordinarily good at holding an electrical charge. Supercapacitors using this material can charge and discharge energy almost instantly, delivering immense bursts of power to meet any sudden demand without ever straining the main reactor. They are the sprinters of the energy world. For more sustained, high-capacity storage, the ship relies on the marathon runners, advanced batteries that far surpass anything we use today. Solid-state batteries replace the flammable liquid electrolyte in current lithium-ion cells with a solid, ceramic-like material. This makes them safer, more stable, and capable of holding a much greater charge in the same amount of space. An even more advanced concept is the lithium air battery, which breathes oxygen to facilitate its chemical reactions, potentially offering an energy density that begins to rival gasoline. This combination is the ultimate safety net. If the main reactor ever needs to be taken offline for maintenance, or in the event of a catastrophic failure, these storage systems seamlessly take over. They ensure the life support never flickers, the artificial gravity never stutters, and the AI pilot remains fully conscious, guiding the ship through the crisis. This reliable energy buffer is the silent guardian of every other system, and its unwavering performance must be perfectly mirrored by the ship's computational core, the electronic brain that cannot afford a single misstep. While our largest ships are powered by fusion hearts, the smallest scouts could ride on beams of pure light. Photonic laser thrusters represent a radical departure from every propulsion system we have discussed because they carry no fuel at all. The engine stays at home. Imagine a spacecraft that is little more than a microchip attached to a sail, a vast, gossamer thin sheet of reflective material thinner than a human hair. This is a light sail. Now picture a colossal battery of lasers, a phased array stationed in the stable quiet of space, perhaps in orbit around Earth or on the far side of the Moon. This laser battery focuses an immense, continuous beam of light directly onto that distant sail. Though individual photons have no mass, they do carry a tiny amount of momentum. As this torrent of light strikes the reflective surface, it pushes, transferring that momentum to the sail and the tiny craft attached to it. The push is incredibly gentle at first, but it is constant and can be maintained for days, weeks, or even months. Without the drag of an atmosphere, and with no fuel mass to slow it down, the spacecraft experiences a continuous, unwavering acceleration. Over time, it can build up to velocities that are a substantial fraction of the speed of light, making a journey to a neighboring star a matter of decades instead of millennia. This is the audacious goal of initiatives like Breakthrough Starshot, which aims to send a fleet of gram-scale probes to the Alpha Centauri system. These would be our robotic eyes, traveling for 20 years and then screaming past an alien world, collecting terabytes of data on its atmosphere and potential for life, and beaming it all back to Earth. They are not generation ships, but interstellar messages in a bottle, proving that the pathway to the stars is open. This technology redefines the very idea of a voyage, transforming a spacecraft from a self-contained vessel into a leaf caught on a relentless, man-made wind of light, destined for shores we can only dream of visiting ourselves. And as these tiny sails journey outward, they will rely on a navigation system of unparalleled precision, one that reads the subtle ripples in the fabric of the cosmos itself. A magnetic sail turns the emptiness of space into a braking zone. This ingenious technology reimagines the very medium a ship travels through, not as a void to be crossed, but as a substance to be pushed against. Instead of carrying precious fuel to slow down upon arrival, a vessel simply unfurls a colossal loop of superconducting wire, perhaps hundreds of kilometers across. When an electric current is run through this immense loop, it generates a powerful magnetic field, a vast, invisible bubble that stretches out around the ship. This magnetic bubble then interacts with the thin, charged particles that drift through interstellar space, the plasma wind. The effect is one of magnetic drag. As the ship plows through this tenuous medium, its magnetic field pushes against the charged particles, gradually sapping the ship's forward momentum. It is a gentle, constant brake applied over years, allowing for a controlled and propellant-free deceleration into a distant star system. The same principle works in reverse when leaving a star. The furious outpouring of charged particles from a star, its stellar wind, would push against the magnetic sail, providing acceleration without the ship needing to expend a single drop of its own fuel. This dual nature makes the magsail an incredibly versatile tool. A ship could use its primary engine like a fusion drive for the long cruise, building up tremendous speed. Then, as it nears its target, it would deploy the magsail, using the interstellar medium itself to slow down to a manageable velocity for orbital insertion. This solves one of the greatest dilemmas of interstellar travel: how to stop once you have reached unimaginable speeds. Without such a system, a starship would simply scream past its destination, a fleeting ghost in the night with no way to turn back. The magsail provides that crucial control, transforming a one-way flyby into a true arrival, the first and most important step toward stepping onto a new world. This vessel, a self-healing fortress of steel and light, must now master the ultimate act of independence, the ability to give birth to itself. For a journey spanning centuries, no amount of redundancy is enough. A single critical failure in a part you cannot replace means the end. The ship must become its own mechanic, its own factory, and in the most profound sense, its own successor. This is the principle of self-replication, where a starship is not just a machine, but a living blueprint. Think of the most advanced 3D printer you can imagine, but one that does not just use plastic filament. This is a fabrication bay stocked with raw metallic ores, silicon, and other fundamental elements harvested from asteroids or stored in vast onboard holds. When a sensor network, the ship's nervous system, detects a fatigued structural beam or a failing processor, it doesn't just flag the problem. It sends the digital blueprint for a perfect replacement to the fabricator. A swarm of nanoscale assemblers, guided by precise magnetic fields, then goes to work, fusing atoms together layer by layer to build a new beam with superior strength or a new computer chip with greater efficiency, all from the raw elemental stock. The ship literally grows its own spare parts, but this capability can be scaled to a breathtaking extreme. Imagine a starship arriving in a resource-rich asteroid belt after a long voyage. Instead of just mining for fuel, it unleashes a swarm of specialized robots. These robots are an extension of the ship's own fabrication system. They begin quarrying the asteroid, processing the metals, the silicates, and the rare earth elements. Using the same onboard blueprints that built its original components, the ship directs these robots to assemble a new fusion reactor, a new habitation ring, a new AI core. Piece by piece, it constructs a perfect copy of itself. This new vessel is then activated, an identical twin with the same memories, the same mission parameters, and the same potential for endless renewal. The original ship has, in essence, reproduced. This is not merely about redundancy, it is about exponential growth. One ship becomes 2, then 4, then 8, creating a fleet that could spread humanity's presence across an entire galactic arm. This act of self-replication transforms the very nature of the mission. The goal is no longer just to reach a single star, but to become a persistent, evolving presence in the cosmos. The ship is no longer a fragile artifact from Earth. It is a seed, carrying within it the instructions not just for its own survival, but for the creation of an entire family of starfaring vessels, each capable of venturing forth to worlds we have not even named. This ultimate autonomy for the ship must be matched by an equal independence for the fragile human bodies inside. A deep space crew cannot possibly carry a spare heart or a backup liver for every possible medical emergency. The solution lies not in a warehouse of organs, but in a compact, miraculous machine that can fabricate them on demand. Bioprinting transforms the ship's medical bay into a living foundry for human tissue. The process begins with the patient themselves. A small sample of their own cells, often fat or skin cells, is taken and then reprogrammed in a lab to become induced pluripotent stem cells. These are master cells, a biological blank slate with the potential to become any cell type in the body, from bone to neuron to heart muscle. These cells become the bioink, the living raw material for the printer. The bioprinter itself operates with astonishing precision, guided by detailed scans of the patient's anatomy. It deposits these cells layer by microscopic layer, following a digital blueprint to build a complex three-dimensional structure. It's not just creating a shape, it's carefully placing different cell types to form the intricate architecture of a real organ, complete with a network of microscopic channels that will become blood vessels. The result is not a plastic imitation, but a living, functional piece of the human body, genetically identical to the patient and therefore with no risk of rejection. Imagine a crew member suffering a severe burn during a reactor maintenance accident. Instead of relying on a limited supply of artificial skin grafts, the med bay can scan the wound and print a perfect, living skin replacement from the patient's own cells, dramatically accelerating healing. Years into the voyage, another explorer might develop a failing kidney. a condition that would be a death sentence millions of miles from a transplant list. Here, the ship can fabricate a new one, a custom-made organ ready for implantation by the robotic surgical suite. This technology, combined with advanced regenerative therapies that can stimulate the body's own repair mechanisms, turns the medical bay from a clinic into a rejuvenation center. It addresses not just traumatic injury, but the slow, inevitable wear and tear of aging on a crew that cannot be replaced. It is the final piece of biological self-sufficiency, ensuring that the human element of the mission remains as resilient and enduring as the vessel that carries it. These self-sustaining systems must culminate in the very fuel of life itself, food. A multi-generational crew cannot survive on tasteless nutrient paste or prepackaged meals that degrade over decades. The ship must become a farm, a source of fresh, varied, and psychologically comforting nourishment. This goes far beyond a simple greenhouse. Imagine vertical farms stacked from deck to deck, where plants grow not in soil, but in a fine mist of nutrient-rich water, a technique called aeroponics. This method uses a fraction of the water of traditional agriculture and allows for incredibly dense food production in the confined space of a starship. The roots hang in the air, absorbing everything they need directly from the mist, growing faster and healthier than they ever could in dirt. But a balanced diet requires more than just vegetables and grains. Protein is a critical component, and here the solutions challenge our earthly palates. Cultivating large livestock is impractical, a wasteful use of space and resources. Instead, the ship's galley might feature lab-grown meat, produced by painlessly harvesting a few cells from a living animal and then carefully nurturing them in a bioreactor to form muscle tissue. This process creates real meat without the ethical or logistical burden of raising and slaughtering an entire creature. For an even more efficient protein source, the crew would likely turn to insects. Crickets and mealworms can be farmed in compact, dark spaces, consuming organic waste from the ship's other food systems and converting it into a protein powder that can be baked into breads or mixed into sauces. They are nutritional powerhouses packed with protein, healthy fats, and essential vitamins. The true genius of this system is its complete integration. The carbon dioxide you exhale is a vital nutrient for these plants. The organic waste from your meals, and even from your own body, becomes fertilizer for the farms. The water you drink is constantly cycled through this closed loop, purified by the plants and returned to you. This creates a beautiful, perpetual cycle of life where nothing is wasted and everything is nourished. Yet this is not merely about physical health. The psychological impact of food on a crew isolated for a lifetime cannot be overstated. The smell of fresh basil, the crunch of a newly harvested carrot, the shared ritual of a meal made from the ship's own bounty, these are the things that combat the profound loneliness of space. They are anchors to a sense of home and normalcy. A varied, flavorful, and culturally relevant diet is not a luxury. It is a fundamental pillar of morale, a daily reminder that they are not just surviving but living. This carefully crafted cognitive environment, however, must be actively protected from a danger that is uniquely human: the slow erosion of trust and shared purpose over time. Even the most perfectly balanced diet cannot nourish a mind starved for new horizons. The profound psychological weight of a deep space journey is a silent threat, one that a self-healing hull or a fusion reactor cannot fix. You are living inside a machine, surrounded by the same handful of faces for years, then decades, with the unchanging blackness of the void as your only view. To combat this soul-crushing monotony and isolation, the ship must provide an escape not through physical travel, but through the complete immersion of virtual reality. This is not the VR of today with bulky headsets. It is a seamless, full-sensory environment. A crew member could step into a simulation bay and suddenly feel the warm sand of a tropical beach between their toes, hear the crash of ocean waves, and smell the salt in the air. They could attend a bustling family reunion on Earth with photorealistic avatars of their loved ones, sharing stories and laughter in real time, a powerful antidote to the loneliness of deep space. These environments could also be fantastical, limited only by imagination, exploring alien landscapes or historical events as a form of intense recreation and mental stimulation. But these escapes are only one part of the support system. The ship's AI, already the pilot and doctor, also becomes a dedicated psychological companion. This is not a simple chatbot. It is a deeply intuitive entity trained to recognize subtle signs of depression, anxiety, or group friction through speech patterns, facial expressions, and social dynamics. It might suggest a calming virtual walk through a redwood forest to one crew member, or initiate a challenging strategic game for another to keep their cognitive skills razor-sharp. These cognitive training programs are vital, constantly challenging memory, problem-solving, and adaptability to prevent mental stagnation over the long voyage. The ultimate goal is to preserve the crew not just as individuals, but as a single, cohesive unit. The AI can monitor group interactions, identifying potential conflicts before they erupt and suggesting collaborative activities or mediated discussions to reinforce trust and shared purpose. In this environment, psychological well-being is not an afterthought. It is a core system, as critical to mission success as oxygen or power. A ship can have all the technology in the universe, but if the human spirit inside it breaks, the journey is already over. Gravity is the one universal force we have yet to master. It pins us to our planet, dictates the orbits of worlds, and bends the very path of light. But what if we could turn this fundamental force into our engine? This brings us to the most theoretical and profound concept on our list: gravitational wave propulsion. The idea is to not just push against the void, but to pull upon the fabric of the cosmos itself. We are talking about harnessing the ripples in space-time, the same cosmic tremors generated by colliding black holes that our observatories on Earth have only recently begun to detect. For a spacecraft, this would mean achieving acceleration without the need to expel a single atom of propellant. Instead of riding a chemical flame or a beam of ions, the vessel would surf a wave of distorted spacetime. Think of it like a surfer catching a massive ocean swell. The surfer doesn't move the water, they are carried by the energy of the wave already moving through it. A gravitational wave drive would do the same, using the compression and expansion of space itself to propel the ship forward. The energy requirements to generate such a controlled wave are, of course, beyond our current comprehension. It would likely demand technology to create intensely focused gravitational fields, perhaps through the manipulation of theoretical exotic matter with negative energy density, or by concentrating staggering amounts of pure energy into a single point. While this remains firmly in the realm of speculative physics, its implications are staggering. Mastering gravity itself would be the ultimate achievement in propulsion. It would render every other engine we have discussed obsolete. A ship with a gravity drive would not be fighting the universe, it would be dancing with it, moving in harmony with the deepest rhythms of reality. Such a vessel could maneuver in ways that defy our current understanding of motion, making instantaneous course changes that would tear a conventional ship apart. It would truly open the entire galaxy to humanity, turning journeys between stars into trips as manageable as crossing an ocean is today. To even conceive of such a technology, however, requires us to see the universe in a completely new way, not as a static stage, but as a dynamic, malleable fabric that we can learn to weave. Navigating at a significant fraction of light speed turns tiny specks of dust into weapons of mass destruction. Each microscopic grain of space dust carries the destructive energy of a high-caliber bullet, posing a constant, silent threat to the ship's integrity. We cannot rely on thick, heavy armor to absorb these impacts, as the sheer mass would make the journey impossible. Instead, the solution lies in making the ship not stronger, but smarter, using a technology that bends the very rules of physics for protection. This is the promise of metamaterial cloaking. Metamaterials are not mined or found. They are engineered atom by atom to interact with waves and particles in ways no natural substance can. By structuring these materials in intricate, repeating patterns, we can force light, radiation, and even solid matter to follow a path of our own design. For micrometeoroid defense, imagine the ship's outer skin is layered with such a metamaterial. When a high-speed particle approaches, it does not slam into a solid wall. Instead, the engineered structure of the cloak guides the particle, bending its trajectory in a smooth arc around the vessel's hull. The particle is gently ushered along an invisible curve, flowing around the ship like water flowing around a smooth stone in a river, and then continues on its original path, leaving the ship completely unscathed. This is not a force field that blocks, but a clever illusion of emptiness that redirects. The primary advantage is its completely passive nature. Once the metamaterial skin is in place, it requires no power, no active monitoring, and no complex machinery to function. It is a permanent, maintenance-free shield that works tirelessly for centuries, all while adding minimal weight. This innovative approach fundamentally changes how we think about defense in space. It shifts the paradigm from brute force absorption to elegant redirection, allowing a vessel to slip through the cosmic sandstorm untouched, its fragile human cargo safe within a shell that is, for all intents and purposes, not even there. But to send a message into the past, you must first find a particle that refuses to obey the present. Tucked within the most speculative equations of physics lies a hypothetical entity called the tachyon. This is not just another particle, it is a rule breaker by its very nature. Theorists propose that tachyons, if they exist, are born traveling faster than light and can never slow down to that cosmic speed limit. Their existence would turn our understanding of cause and effect completely on its head. This leads to the mind-bending concept of the tachyonic Antetelephone, a device that sounds like pure science fiction. The principle is that if you could harness these particles, you could encode a message onto one and send it faster than light. According to the strange rules of relativity, a signal traveling faster than light from your perspective could be received by someone else before you even sent it. You could, in theory, send a warning to Earth about a disaster that has already happened, or receive instructions from the future on how to navigate an uncharted nebula. The communication lag that plagues every other system is not just reduced, it is inverted. There is a profound and necessary caveat, however. No tachyon has ever been detected, and most physicists believe they are a mathematical curiosity rather than a physical reality. The idea of messing with time creates troubling paradoxes, like the famous grandfather paradox where you could prevent your own birth. Yet, the mere theoretical exploration of such concepts forces us to stretch our minds. It challenges the very framework of causality, the unshakable belief that a cause must always come before its effect. Mastering even the mathematics behind such ideas represents a fundamental shift in our relationship with the universe. It suggests a future where the vast distances of space are not just crossed, but where the linear flow of time itself becomes a navigable dimension. This is the ultimate horizon of communication, a technology that would not just connect us across space, but weave our past, present, and future into a single, continuous conversation. The mathematics of warping space demands a substance that defies common sense, a material with negative energy density. This is exotic matter, a theoretical substance that would weigh less than nothing and push space apart rather than pulling it together. Its existence is the non-negotiable fuel for concepts like the Alcubierre warp drive, the engine that contracts space in front of a ship and expands it behind. Without this bizarre ingredient, the warp bubble remains a beautiful equation on a page, forever out of reach. Yet the universe, in its infinite strangeness, might offer us a tiny glimpse of this possibility. Research into the quantum foam, the seething energy of empty space itself, suggests that negative energy densities can appear on a subatomic scale. The Casimir effect provides a compelling hint, where two uncharged metal plates placed extremely close together in a vacuum experience a subtle attractive force. In the narrow gap between them, the quantum fluctuations are restricted, resulting in a lower energy density than the space outside the plates. This creates a region of effectively negative energy, a microscopic shadow of the substance we would need. The monumental challenge is scaling this fleeting quantum quirk into a stable, macroscopic resource. We are not talking about mining exotic matter from an asteroid, but learning to manufacture it, to coax it into existence and contain it. This pursuit sits at the very edge of known physics, a quest to find a key for a lock we have not yet fully seen. Success here would be the ultimate turning point, transforming the grandest dreams of starflight from pure theory into a tangible, if distant, engineering problem. The ultimate destination for any starship is not just a point on a map, but a world that can truly become a home. This final step in the grand journey is planetary terraforming, the colossal undertaking of reshaping an alien environment into one that can support human life without the need for pressurized suits and domes. It begins with a planet that is almost right, a world with a solid surface and the basic raw materials for life, but lacking the warmth, the air, or the water we need. To warm a frozen world like Mars, we could deploy vast, gossamer thin mirrors into orbit. These solar sails, positioned strategically, would act as giant orbital magnifying glasses, focusing sunlight onto the polar ice caps. This gentle, persistent warming would slowly release the carbon dioxide frozen within the ice, a process known as outgassing. As this potent greenhouse gas enters the atmosphere, it begins to trap more of the sun's heat, raising the global temperature further and triggering a runaway effect that could eventually melt enough water to form rivers and shallow seas. But a thick atmosphere of carbon dioxide is still unbreathable. The next phase introduces the smallest of engineers, specifically designed microbes and algae. These organisms would be tailored to survive the harsh conditions and begin the slow, patient work of planetary alchemy, consuming the carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen as a byproduct, just as early life did on Earth billions of years ago. For a world that is too dry, we could become cosmic delivery drivers, using gravitational nudges to guide ice-rich asteroids from the outer solar system into a controlled impact with the target planet. These celestial snowballs would shatter in the atmosphere, delivering not only vast quantities of water, but also essential volatile compounds like ammonia and methane, further enriching the nascent atmosphere. This is not a process measured in years, but in centuries, a project that would span generations. Yet, it represents the final, profound shift in our relationship with the cosmos. We would no longer be mere visitors to other worlds, camping on their surfaces. We would become gardeners on a planetary scale, actively nurturing and guiding the birth of a new biosphere. This transforms the very purpose of deep space travel from exploration to genesis, ensuring that when we finally arrive after a long voyage, we are not just reaching a destination, but coming home to a world we helped to create. This final technology weaves all the others into a single, enduring tapestry of human culture. Our expanding presence across the stars faces a fundamental challenge: the tyranny of distance that severs real-time communication. The solution is not to fight this latency, but to embrace it, creating an interstellar internet built not on fleeting signals, but on physical artifacts of immense knowledge. Imagine a future where transport vessels between stars carry more than just people and supplies. They carry the collective soul of our civilization, encapsulated in objects of breathtaking durability. One such medium is synthetic DNA, nature's own perfect storage system. We can already encode digital information into the 4 chemical letters of a DNA strand. A single gram of this material could theoretically hold every book, song, and scientific discovery humanity has ever produced, all compressed into a speck smaller than a sugar cube. This biological hard drive is incredibly resilient, capable of surviving for thousands of years in stable conditions. An even more advanced concept uses 5-dimensional data crystals, etched into quartz glass by femtosecond lasers. These are not simple disks, they are nano-structured glass blocks where information is stored in 5 dimensions, the 3 spatial ones plus the size and orientation of the nanostructures. This allows for almost unimaginable data density and stability, with the crystals able to withstand extreme heat, cold, and radiation without any degradation. They are, for all intents and purposes, permanent libraries. These data crystals would be the time capsules of a galactic age, shipped on regular routes between colonies. When a vessel arrives from a distant system, its most precious cargo might be a single, small case containing the latest cultural and scientific updates from 100 worlds. A colony around Proxima Centauri could receive a century's worth of Earth's art, news, and technological breakthroughs in one physical delivery. They would unpack the knowledge of their entire species, integrating it into their own libraries, ensuring that even after generations of isolation, they remain part of a single, shared human story. This creates a slowly pulsating web of knowledge, a heartbeat for our galactic civilization, where every outpost contributes its own discoveries back into the stream. It is the ultimate safeguard against cultural drift and the loss of history, guaranteeing that no colony, no matter how remote, is ever truly alone in the dark. It ensures that the legacy of Earth and the combined genius of all the stars we touch is preserved forever, etched in glass and life itself, ready for whatever wonders we discover next. Each of these technologies forms a vital thread in a single, unbreakable cord. The fusion reactor does not merely provide electricity, it breathes life into the magnetic sail, creating the immense magnetic field that shields the crew from radiation. That same power supercharges the water purifiers in the closed-loop life support system, which in turn supplies the sterile water and nutrients required for the bioprinters to fabricate living tissue. The ship's artificial intelligence is the nervous system that binds it all together, a mind that simultaneously navigates by pulsars, manages the reactor's output, and directs a swarm of self-replicating probes to prepare a destination years in advance. A failure in one system is not an isolated event. It sends ripples through this entire delicate web. A weakened power supply might force the AI to choose between maintaining artificial gravity or keeping the magnetic radiation shield at full strength. A crack in the self-healing hull could compromise the bioregenerative farms that feed the crew. This is why their integration is the true miracle. the final and most complex technology of all. It transforms a collection of brilliant inventions into a single, living entity, a vessel that is more than the sum of its parts. This holistic synergy creates a resilience that no single technology could ever achieve alone. The ship becomes adaptable, able to reroute power, prioritize systems, and find creative solutions to problems its designers never anticipated. It is this deeply interconnected nature that elevates the dream from a fragile concept to an operational reality, a ship that does not just endure the void but truly belongs to it. Warp drives and fusion power, artificial ecosystems, and AI pilots. These are the threads from which we are weaving a new human destiny. Our journey through these 25 technologies reveals far more than a simple checklist of future gadgets. It paints a portrait of a humanity reborn among the stars, an interplanetary species defined by resilience and an insatiable curiosity. The vessel that carries us is not merely a ship, but a self-sustaining world, a living entity that can heal its own wounds, feed its crew from endless cycles of life, and navigate the void with a mind far wiser than our own. This is not a distant fantasy. The foundations for this future are being laid today in the quiet hum of tokamak reactors, in the precise layers of 3D printed organs, and in the complex code of learning machines. The greatest question has shifted. It is no longer a matter of if we will reach for the stars, but a question of when that great exodus begins. The pathway is being cleared, one breakthrough at a time. If this vision of tomorrow sparks something within you, we invite you to join us for more explorations into the forces shaping our world. Subscribe for deeper dives into the science of the future and share your own perspective below. Which of these profound innovations do you believe will truly redefine our place in the cosmos?